Okay, yeah, I'm back here. Hi everyone, good afternoon, depending on your location. I'm so excited to welcome you all to yet another section on the Cowrywise Career Series 2025. My name is Victoria Francis, and I'll be moderating today's section. But before we start, please let's do well to share this link with our friends so that they can join in. But while we are trying to like set everything up, let's just sort of try to get to know ourselves, right? I can see the chat box is already active. That's lovely. So just tell me your name and what city you're currently joining us from. I can see Emmanuel. Hi, Emmanuel. Hi, Oland. I don't know if that's your real name, Oland, but you're welcome. Hi, Divine Favor. Hi, Francis. Hi, everyone. Hi, Victor. Join us here for this section. Trust me, it's really going to be amazing. I just want to confirm if you all can hear me. So if you can hear me, please do all to drop it on the chat box. Okay, awesome. This is Chiamaka for Lagos. Oluwatimileyin. We have Oma. I'm so sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly, right? This is Matthew from Lagos. We have Adeze from Abuja. We have Manuel from Kaduna. From you guys are honestly, you are a and for us. We have Sari Abel, Grace from Lagos. We have two from obviously to have you guys join us. Well, and any more section. We also have Dayo from Minilag from Lagos. We have Savior Inyang from Yo. Hi Savior. We have Abdul Samad from Lasu. We have Scholastica from Ogun State. We have from different cities. That's really impressive. We are typing in for our details. Let's just do a quick, funny, let's just break an ice, right? So I believe a lot of us on this call I believe a lot of us on this call will probably have our hands on some of the analytics too. So I want you guys to drop in the comment section your most favorite data analysis tools that you've used before. Okay. We have a large number.
Hi everyone. Somehow it looks as though we have a challenge with Victoria's internet, but we believe that she should get that sorted in a bit. So while we await that, just as it's been a tradition since we started the career series events some 3 weeks ago, right? We would typically take break for a few minutes so we can have a couple more people join us before we dive into the session properly, right? And you're supposed to use these 2 minutes to also remind your friends, remind your friends, loved ones, classmates, and fellow campus ambassadors. If you're a campus ambassador, let them know that we started this session. You can share the link with them so that they can join us. I mean, this has been our tradition for every of the sessions we've had. We've had about 5 different sessions now. This is the sixth one, and we'll have another one next week again. So yeah, we'll be going on a 2 minutes break. And then once we get back, we'll dive right into the session. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, so I think that Victoria is perhaps still having a challenge with her internet, but and I know that she's definitely having to make a fix or trying to sort that out. Um, so yeah, why we still await Victoria? We will just continue, right? We currently have about 100 people on the call right now. We have some of you in the studio, virtual studio. We have some of you on YouTube, watching live on YouTube, and we are really excited to have you guys around. And I'm also very sure that Charles is very excited to dispense value to every one of you. And yes, you're definitely going to enjoy it, right? Um, so yeah, I took some time to look through the engagement in the chat box, and I can also see the excitement in the air. I can see how energetic the chat box is, how excited you guys are to be a part of this session, right? And quite frankly, we are as well, right? So Charles will be coming up soon, but before he starts up, before he comes up, rather, I will just uh, share a few things about Charles that you probably do not know before. um, Charles is a graduate from University of Benin, if I'm not mistaken, or is it University of Benin or UNN? Can you correct me? Because this. Okay, give me a second. I think you are muted, but yeah, you can speak now. UNN or University of
Yeah,
Benin.
UNN.
Okay, yeah. Charles is a graduate from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. A couple of years ago, some of you were probably still writing JAMB or maybe in SS2, SS1, but I mean, yeah. And I think he studied statistics or yeah, statistics, yeah. And he's doing data at Cowrywise, having done data at some of his other previous companies before. And Charles is a fantastic data genius. Is somebody who you can just be very confident of whatever data results. There's a nickname they call him at the office, Oracle. Yeah, so Charles is our Oracle at Carrywise. You need data insights to make business decisions. You don't even need to think so much. Just go consult the Oracle, and then they would spoon out some data insight, and then you'll be so wild, like, oh, whoa, really? So this really does exist, right? And he's been at Cowrywise for about 3 years now, almost 3 years, if not up to 3 years yet, right? And I used to say something to people. I say that if you're not a fantastic talent, you can't last 3 months in Cowrywise. You'll be somehow you will just find your way out, because you most likely like, this thing where they say that um water and fire cannot stay in the same place, right? Because I mean the water will quench the fire, or whatever, right? Or the way they will say that black and white, I mean, all of those proverbs or whatever, right? So I say it often that if you're not a fantastic talent, if you're not a genius, if you're not a quality talent, you most likely wouldn't last 3 months in career rise. But Charles has not just lasted 3 months. He has gone 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, and almost 3 years now. That speaks to the quality of his person, right? And Charles has taken in a couple of campus ambassadors as interns, and I think two of them will be having two new interns beginning from next week, if I'm not mistaken, right? So apart from my team or growth team, I think data team is that team that's taking a lot more interns in Cowrywise, right? And I mean, thanks to Charles and every other person in the team that are usually, I mean, everybody is usually open to taking in interns anyways. And even Victoria, that is moderating this session today, was used to be an intern with Charles's team in 2023. We've also had Simi. We've also had Rotimi, yeah, from Obafemi Awolowo University, right? Some guys would also be resuming from Covenant next week, I think. And I mean, that speaks to how much he's very interested in wanting to dispense value, wanting to share value, wanting to teach people, and on and on and on. I mean, I think at this point, I want to leave Charles to do the talking. And if you're excited to have Charles on the call, you can send in your favorite emoji. Let's know how excited you are. Let's know how prepared you are to want to learn. Um, to want to learn a lot more about data analytics, data engineering, and data science, whether you are a complete novice, you know nothing about these fields before, or somehow you've had your hands on SQL or Python or R or Excel or whatever, right? Or somehow you're even already an experienced professional, but you feel like, okay, I want to hear what this guy got to say. And yeah, you're a part of us today. So please do drop in your favorite emoji in the chat box. And okay, yeah, I can see a few emojis. I can see from Toba, I can see from um 14, I can see from Shalom, Olamide, Godwin, and quite a number of you really. Thank you so much. So yeah, Charles, thank you so much for doing this with us. Thank you for agreeing to do this with us. And yeah, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Timmy. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Very clearly, loud and clear.
All right, cool. Thank you once again, Timmy. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. There's a lot of conversation around this this current event, but I'm glad. I'm actually glad I'm here. Can see all the reactions and everyone is all pumped up. So I'll just get started. I want to start by talking a little bit about how I ended up here. He has already mentioned to me that I studied statistics at UNN. I also did my master's in Unilag in operations research, right? Um, while I was studying my undergraduate, I was at the point where I felt like I knew there was something else, but I didn't know what that was. So I didn't have a lot of guide. It was just that, oh, statistics that you're studying, there's something else you can do. There's more that you can do with statistics, right? So there's a lot of research, asking questions, lecturers and people around, doing a lot of reading personally before I, ventured into one program that led to another, that led to another, and the rest is history. So I am glad that I'm here. And this session, my objective for this session is to, create a form of guide to people that are at the point where they are asking questions on the next career path, or that maybe they are already hearing a couple of things about data analytics, but they're not quite sure. I do hope that this session helps to, throw light for you to make better decisions on what next you want to do and how you want to proceed with it. So, Timmy, my slides, please. I have a slide that will guide the conversation. Let's have it up. All right. Please confirm that you can see the slide. Hi, Timmy, Victoria. Can you guys see the slide? All right, cool. So we have it starting a career in data analytics, right? And like I mentioned, the scope of the presentation will go through this. I've already done a brief introduction. I'll talk about the data life cycle, why data analytics, understanding the role of a data analyst, building foundation in data skills, gaining hands-on experience, developing business acumen, actually very important, and then the significance of networking. Then we have questions and all that. So I've done a little bit of introduction already. I would move into talking about the data life cycle, right? I put this here because I needed to just touch briefly on the fact that data is like a product, right? That has an end-to-end spectrum, right? It's not just analytics, it's not just engineering, it's not just science. There are a lot of buzzwords around, right? We hear a lot about data science or data analytics or this and that. But data as a product is a broad spectrum that goes from end to end. So I just put this here to explain a little bit. So this is me summarizing the data lifecycle into these three stages, right? We have the engineering bit, we have the analytics bit, and then the science, which all work hand in hand. So think of your engineers as your typical engineers, right? Builders, right? Your engineer will typically create a highway, the normal road that we apply for transportation and moving around. Your data engineer would create pipelines, set up the infrastructure for the movement of your data from your different sources to wherever your storage location is, your data warehouse, as the case may be. That is your role of your engineer. So typical activities will include data ingesting, optimizations of infrastructure, scheduled maintenance and all that. Now, your analytics would focus more on cleaning the data that has been stored, processing it, identifying trends within the data, and communicating insights seen within your analytics to stakeholders or to consumers of the product, the data product that they're pushing out. Then the scientists go the next step, right? They handle advanced stuff using advanced models, um, AI tools, machine learning models to predict unknown events and help to prepare stakeholders for decisions that will be made. Basically, data as a product, for me, I think the most important thing for data is generation of insights and communicating effectively to a decision making, right? So end to end, this is what the life cycle of data is: getting from all your sources, analyzing them, and then getting to the point where you're doing a couple of science related tasks like building AI models. We know how popular AI is right now. So you're using data as a tool for AI to make sense of decisions you're going to make in whatever industry you're in. All right. So why data analytics? Like I said, there are lots of buzzwords. You hear data as a new oil, there are a lot of things you hear about data. And I've noticed that sometimes people just dabble into these things because they've seen it somewhere, they've heard it somewhere, but you do not have full understanding of what is involved, or you do not really appreciate the concept that much, which is why I put this here. Now, I would like to speak a little bit about data itself, and I want to do that using an analogy. Before I ended up studying statistics, I actually wanted to study medical surgery, our typical med surg, right, in the university. But stuff happened. I didn't end up there. But I can say proudly that I'm actually a doctor in my field, because when you think about how data works, how data analytics works, you realize that you're actually working like a doctor. I'll give you an example. So when you walk into a hospital, you have a complaint, right? You're going to a doctor to say, and a doctor will typically ask you what is the problem. So you'll be the one to give your complaints, and that is your doctor taking note of historical information. Oh, I've been having headaches for how long? For 3 days, for 2 days. I've been feeling nauseous. Those kind of things. You're giving the doctor historical information, right? Now, after giving that information, it is left for the doctor to send you for some tests, right? To figure out, okay, because typically they will have a couple of things in mind, but they will not just jump into conclusion. They have to send you for some tests before they come up with a diagnosis. So those tests are supposed to check, oh, he complained, he provided a couple of symptoms, they look like malaria, they look like typhoid, we're not quite sure, right? You do a test. When the result of the test is out, the doctor uses that result to interpret or confirm the diagnosis they have in mind and then prescribe drugs for you that would help, with the symptoms that you have come to the hospital with. Typically, the same thing with data. So, for data analytics, right, the very first stage always involves diagn- uh, uh, always involves descriptive analytics. Your descriptive analytics would be studying historical patterns. These are things that have happened over time, right? You're trying to look at these historical events to identify patterns, to identify trends. Now you've seen this will take the place of you giving the complaints to the doctor, right? Then the diagnostic, you're looking at these historical patterns and you're trying to make sense of it. Why is there a spike on a certain day, right? Say you for a sales rep, right? You usually record say you sell 10 items per day, and on a particular day you're making like 100 sales. What happened about this day? This is you applying diagnostic analytics to try and understand why what happened that day happens. Is it random? Right? With data, we try not to allow things to, sit as just random events. We try to understand them to identify patterns there to confirm, oh, is this random? Is this something that we can actually amplify on our own? For the sales rep, you can say, oh, was there an ad? Did my marketing team do something that did that led to that spike in sales from say 10 to 100? If that is the case, maybe they should keep on running ads, every day. Businesses want the sales to be very high, right? This is you doing your diagnostic analytics. Now, after doing your diagnosis, you prescribe, right? So following my analogy now for the marketing, if I realize that the hike in sales was because a particular influencer spoke about my brand or my marketing team put out a particular ad, right? It only makes sense for me to come back as the analyst in the company to say, okay, stakeholders, this is what we've observed from the data, and because of so events that happen, this is the result. So we should think about applying XYZ more to boost our sales. Now, I'm not just speaking like a layman, right? It's not just random. Oh, because there was a spike in sales, right? We should just hope that it happens again. Now, this is you using data to come up with objective insight that you've seen that, oh, this is as a result of this. Now, you're prescribing that going forward, the company should do more of this. Now, this is data analytics in a nutshell, right? So, after prescribing, you now have your advanced analytics, that's predictive analytics. And I'll also explain that using the same concept. So, let's say the marketing team put out one billboard and that led to the jump in sales from say 10 to 100. You can make use of AI models to work on a predictive model that will say if one billboard give us 100 100 sales, maybe if you do five billboards you might get like 500. you know Now, you're not going to say this from a layman's point of view. It's going to come objectively. That's where your data is going to come in. So predictive analytics now come in to say, you know what, let us simulate data. Let us build a model that will give us projection of what it would be if XYZ is applied on our data. So when I call myself a data doctor, it's actually very similar because I'm doing what a doctor would do, but now I'm working with data as my own product. So I hope this makes sense for why data analytics is actually important. So as someone that is interested in the field of data analytics, I want us to have that broad spectrum to realize that we are not just playing around with tools. I always say this for data analytics is not about the tools. It's not about, you know, learning how to use a particular tool so good that you're the master in that tool. It stems from the foundation of your understanding of your learning of what analytics as a concept is and how to apply it everywhere. So why should you decide to become a data analyst, right? We can see that the impact as an analyst is is standard. It's very different. You will not be speaking from a place of a subjective point of view. You're looking at data, you've done your analytics, you've done your crunching, your manipulations, and you're coming out to say objectively, oh, this is what is happening. Many times at work, there might be conversations that will come up and you're questioning, oh, why should this be so? Why should this be so? You might have different points that will come from maybe environmental observations and stuff like that. But as a data personnel, you would say, I've looked through our data based on how our customers interact with our product, and this is what we have seen. Now that is the objectivity that comes from being a data analyst. And then you can make that impact that will drive the next decision making and say, oh, okay, because we've seen this, I know that this is what our customers are doing. This is what we should do, not because we feel like we should do it, but this is what we have identified based on the behavior of our customers. So that is impact. So if you're keen on making impact, data analytics is actually important for you. Now, I also highlight the versatility of data analytics as a very good selling point as well. You can work in any industry you can think of. The globalization has made data generation a lot. I can't even place an estimate to the amount of data that is generated every day, right? And this is raw information lying around, looking for experts, looking for people that understand data analytics to generate insight from this data. So you are going to be very versatile because you can work in any industry, the financial industry, the health industry, you name it. You can actually apply your data skills there, right? So having understood why data analytics is there and the impact that you can make as an analyst, and the fact that you can work in many industries, I feel like it should be a topic that is very catching, a field that is very enticing for a lot of us to, delve into. So stemming from that, I want to talk about the roles of a data analyst, right? I mentioned the data life cycle and how it moves. I've given, brief analogy to describe how analytics as a concept works. Now, the role of a data analyst is summarized into these 5 points, right? So typically, when your engineer has used his wonderful pipelines, set up stuff to pull your data from different sources into the data warehouse, or wherever it is, right? As an analyst, your first task starts from cleaning that data, because most of the data that would come in would be raw, unstructured, data in different forms. Basically, it's not ready for consumption. Let me use that word. Yeah, it's not ready for consumption. Now, it is your work as an analyst to clean that data based on standards that you have come to know that will fit your criteria. A very simple one would be a daytime conversion, right? So, say you're working with databases that store your data in UTC, but you're domiciled in, say, Nigeria, and you need your data to be coming up in West African time, which is our typical time. So for specifics, our 4 p.m. West African time here would be a 3 p.m. ETC. It might not seem like a problem until you work with transactional data where people perform transactions at stroke of midnight. So your 11 p.m. transaction or your 12 p.m. transaction can spill over to your day. So as an analyst, when you're working with that type of data, it's important that you transform the date field to actually record the date time of your current time zone, so that spillover of information would not happen. So this is just an instance for importance of data cleaning and how it can go a long way to help make sure that whatever insights you're generating is makes sense from the data that you actually have. Then we have the exploration. Now you've cleaned your data to a reasonable extent. It's important to explore data using statistical techniques, right? Statistical techniques would involve your mean, your median, your percentiles, name them. These are things that are often overlooked, but they are first points of call in understanding what the information data is trying to give you. You might be expecting that, oh, the minimum age of your users or customers, as the case may be, maybe say 25. and then you see a user that is 16, 15 using the data, it will spark curiosity. It will spark, you know, you need to find out why. Is that a wrong data point, or are there actually people within this age bracket using the data, right? These are kind of things that data exploration would tell you. Yeah, so then another very important role for an analyst is data visualization. Basically, you're using tools now, Tableau, Power BI, Metabase, as the case may be, to tell stories. They're actually linked. So the data visualization is actually linked to the storytelling, because you typically your stakeholders or people that work with you might not have full concept of data analytics. That's why you are a doctor on your own. It's just like when a doctor writes a diagnosis, their writing, you know how funny their writings are as doctors. Most time you're looking at it, but you can't even tell what it is. But you pass that note to a pharmacist or a laboratory specialist, and the person tells you, "Oh, this is what the doctor wrote," right? So most times, as a data analyst, your stakeholders do not have full context into your technical jargon. So you can't present that information the way you're seeing it from maybe your raw processing to your stakeholders. This is where visualization and storytelling comes in. So you're putting up all the information that you've been able to gather, the insights you generated, you're putting them in dashboards, putting them in reports using different charts and tools, and then you're communicating the story. As a sales rep, you're saying, "Oh, we had a trend where we make sales of 10, we sell 10 products per day, and then suddenly we observe the spike on day 5, because of an ad." You have to make it make sense as a story. You're not just coming out to say, "Oh, we saw a spike," and then what now happened? Where's the spike coming from? Why are you even doing what you're doing? To get the whole process needs to make sense, and that is where your storytelling skills will come in, right? To communicate those insights, because the truth is, you might have the best of information, but your ability to communicate it is as important as the information that you have. If your person you're speaking to does not understand what you're saying, cannot make sense of what you're saying, or cannot, you create reasonable decisions or make reasonable decisions from what you're saying, then you've actually missed the point as an analyst. I'll say your job is not done. So visualization, storytelling, and collaboration actually go a very long way. Collaboration with respect to the different cross-functional teams that you work with. So you work with people that have different level of expertise relation to how to work with data, right? You know that someone that is, say, in finance will have a reasonable understanding of some concepts of data compared to someone that is in another team. So you make sure that whatever reports that you're generating makes sense to whoever the consumer of that data is. So my next slide, I have a couple of things that I've listed for the tools that are required for you to make a good data analyst. Now, for your foundational skills, it is very important that you learn tools for data analytics. Here we have Excel, SQL. SQL as the query language, not the database of MySQL or all that. No, those are tools. The actual skill you need to learn is to learn the skill of SQL, which is structured query language that used to communicate. I love SQL so much. I love SQL so much. When I work with SQL, I feel like I'm communicating with the system, because you're basically, you're interpreting statements as form of requests, how the system will understand it. So you're just asking for different stuff on the databases, and they're returning them to you. So SQL is very, 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 very important as a data analyst and a data engineer. Then you have Python and R for extra manipulations, for feature engineering, for model development, for people that want to go the extra mile, building your logistic regression models. Yeah, Python actually very key. Excel as well, very important. For visualization tools, are a couple of them: Power BI, Tableau, Metabase, Grafana. You can actually use any of them. I am of the opinion you do not need to cram. Let me use the word cram. Yeah, you don't need to cram a particular visualization or tool. Being able to visualize data on its own is a skill. It now depends on whatever tool you're given to work with. So if you're giving say Grafana, right, present the information in Grafana, you understand how to present some information, the kind of charts to use for different type of information, when to use a pie chart, when to use a bar chart, when to use a trend chart, when to use an area chart. Things like this. These are things that will make you stand out in communicating whatever information you want to, push out. Imagine you're communicating revenue, for instance, and then you're using a pie chart. Why would you do that? Or trying to communicate a trend and then you're using a pie chart. There are some things that you should not do. So these understandings are the things that will make you stand out, not the skill of using the tools itself, right? Then I had already mentioned statistical concepts. I had already mentioned statistical concepts that are very important. Just basically, but I know a lot of people are, they shy away from statistics, but I will tell you for free, for you to, for you to be a good analyst, you need to actually understand your statistics. Basic statistics is actually very good. Understand how to interpret your mean, mode, your median, when to use mean, when to use median. You can't have data that is skewed and then you're interpreting that data using a mean. You'd obviously be making wrong decisions, right? So understanding what these different statistical concepts mean, how to communicate how to interpret the results from them, um, your percentiles, your coefficients of variation, correlation, trying to identify variables that affect the other, regression. So these things help you in your exploration of data to understand what direction to take. Like I said, when you are trying to diagnose, you would come across maybe different things that might not make sense, right? So in querying why this thing has happened, these concepts and these skills will go a long way in enabling you to carry out what you have thought in your mind as the next line of action. So once you have built foundation of these skills, right? The next thing I usually encourage people to do is to take real world projects, right? Try to work on real world projects. So there are a lot of different repositories. We have Cargo, there's Zindi, actually a lot more now. I not in that space anymore, but there's UCLA, yeah, where they have a lot of data sets that are actually real, right? But they are anonymized, right? So when you work on these projects, you're supposed to come from. I personally would immerse myself in those projects to say, oh, I'm working on, say, a project that would predict customers that would be diagnosed with heart diseases based on different variables provided, right? As an analyst, you need to understand the importance of that project. And then usually, I would also advise people to work with guided projects because most times they are already existing projects that are done. You don't necessarily have to maybe copy the code word for word. One key thing that's very important in when you're working is to actually do it yourself. You can watch a lot of YouTube videos, you can watch a lot of tutorials, you can watch as much tutorials as you want. It would not translate to you being able to do this thing on your own because the more you type these queries, if it's SQL, if it's visualization, the more you do these things yourself, the more you encounter errors that you fix and make you a more robust analyst. You can't explain something that you've never seen or something that you've never encountered before. The person that is, the instructor on a YouTube video that is telling you, oh, I did this. Yeah, that's very good. They're giving you guidelines and directions. But I always encourage when you're working on real world projects, please and please do it yourself. Someone might say, oh, I dragged this from point A to point B and it worked and it's moving on. But in your own system, dragging from point A to point B is not working, right? It would push you to find out why that stuff is not working. Maybe it might be a system requirement issue or something very trivial, something as trivial as a comma, right? Might make you have a different result, especially when you're working in Python and all these programming languages. So it is very important that you actually do stuff yourself for a world project. Then it's important to participate in internships, right? What internships do for you is they give you access to direct mentorship, right? Like Timmy mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people that have interned with the data team, and we notice that some people have different skill levels upon starting their internship, and always they leave better than they came because you'll be able to spot your mentor or whoever it is you're working with in your internship, you'll be able to spot key areas, highlight a few things that can help you to to channel your learning curve in the right direction, give you projects that will take you out of your comfort zone, and then you can have like an accountability check, because most times when you're learning on your own, you might say, oh, I want to do this thing, I'll spend say 30 minutes or 1 hour, and you end up not even doing it at all. But when you're having an internship, when you're undergoing an internship, right, there's usually a case for we for us in the data team. We would usually say, okay, you know what, work on this project. You have 2 3 days to work on this thing and get back to me. Now you might not work on the project end to end, you might not complete it, but I need to be able to see that you have started doing something, or you have a blocker, whatever it is. You give feedback and then we interact about it. I want to know how you got to that point to be sure that you're actually doing this yourself. And that is very critical in the learning, because like I said, you learn by doing. Now, another very important thing is building a portfolio to showcase your project. Now, you might have worked on a lot of beautiful things, but if there's no way to show them, no one would actually see and appreciate them, right? Yeah, word of mouth can get you so far. People are actually keen on seeing what you have done. So if you say you built a model that could do X, Y, Z, can I see your project? Can I see the actual code? Can I see, walk me through your thought process? Why did you do this like this? Why did you do that like that? So this, having a portfolio helps you put together your thoughts. Now, one thing I want to talk about for this real world project that I had skipped earlier, you might be working on a guided project, right? You see that your instructor maybe used a particular metric, for instance, use accuracy to predict something, or came up with, one or two different insights. I always encourage people to think of something that was not initially included in the project. On having understood what you have done on your own, create an insight or two of your own that did not exist prior to you having this project, so that even if you're putting that stuff in your portfolio and maybe it's something that a couple of people have worked on, there's these very popular data sets or flower data sets when you start now with machine learning, right? But you can highlight a couple of things that stood out for you, or something different that you did in your exploratory, your data exploration process, that would make you stand out, that would show that you were actually, you know, that you actually did this project yourself and you're able to identify one or two significant things. It might not be so huge, right? But just extracting different important key information that did not initially exist in the project that you're, in the guide or the project you're working with. That's actually very important, so that it would further help you internalize what you've worked on and you'll be able to communicate about that project comfortably. Now, developing business acumen is actually very important. Now, like I said initially, when I was talking about the analogy between the hospital visits and data analytics as a process, sometimes people detach the reason why they do analytics from the actual job they do, right? If you think of data analytics as just a job, something you just go to do because you're paid to do it, I dare say you will not be as good an analyst as you would be compared to if you are actually enjoying what you're doing, if you're actually immersed in the business process. Now, developing business acumen would mean that you need to understand the why. As an analyst, you need to ask a lot of right questions. You need to have that curious mind. The questions, the analytics that you'll be able to perform on your data are as good as the questions you ask. You can present the same data set or the same problem statement to two different people and say, oh, this is the problem I'm having, I don't know what to do, you're a data analyst, please help me out, right? Their results on that same thing can be totally different, and this will be because of their thinking process. Developing business acumen is very important for you to ask the right questions specific to the problem statement provided, the industry, understanding how things in the industry that the data is from works, is actually very important. So while working on your projects, while generating these insights, it's also important to study the industry that your data is coming from. If it's the finance industry, if it's the health industry, you need to actually understand the industry, very important. So there's this when doing statistical inference, right? You can usually work with a zero point 0.9 level of confidence generally. But when you're in the health sector, you can work with zero point 0.9. This number, zero point 0.9, we're talking about in real life application, you're talking about human life. So you're saying there's a 10% chance that you can be wrong and someone will die. No. So there's in the health sector, I think they work with 0.98, 0.99. So that is different. So when you're doing analytics in these different sectors, it is important that you understand the sectors so you can ask the right questions and communicate effectively to stakeholders there. Networking and continuous learning. With data analytics, there is always something new to learn. That's actually another very important and very interesting thing about the field. It's not something, not a skill that you say once you have acquired and gotten to this level, you just stop. There are always new tools. There are theories that keep evolving. There are new concepts that you need to apply that will make your work easier or make your work even more robust. So it's very important for you to keep on learning, checking new trends, and learning would only make sense when you do it in a community, when you do it with people. So there's accountability. When you have different data communities and different local meetups, people that you can meet up with to say, oh, I'm working on this project, I encountered XYZ problem. What do you think? Exchanging ideas is actually very important. It will help keep you on your toes. At some point, I had we were 10 in a group here in the early stages. We would meet every Saturdays to discuss what we've learned, new stuff that we've learned, and we usually assign topics. You say, okay, you know what, you work on this topic, come and teach us, and then we work on the practicals together. These things help to keep the fire burning for you to keep on learning because trust me, with analytics, you need to keep on learning, keep on doing for it to get better. So for you to have a good career, to start up a good career in data analytics, you need to understand what is involved and tell yourself you want to do this first off. Then you work on building the skills that you need and then leverage good communities to keep yourself, up to date with latest trend. Um, this would bring me to the end of my slide. So at this point, I can take questions and reactions from everybody. Thank you. I can't hear you, Victoria. I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah, I was muted, mistake. So I'm very certain that you all can agree with me that this section has been a really powerful one, right? I mean, Charles has taken us from how to be data confused to how to actually make use of data in order to make insights within an organization, right? So for me, one thing that stood out, like Charles has rightly mentioned, is how to develop business acumen, right? I mean, it's not just using data analytics, right? Question, making use of the key metrics involved, right? And lastly, making sure that you're effectively able to communicate this with stockholders, right? So I think that's enough from my end. I want to hear from you guys before we move to the question and answers in the chat box. What you've learned, is there anything that resonates with you? Is there any new insight that you've gotten from Charles section? So please, let's do well to drop it in the chat box. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it has been an insightful section, and I'm so glad that you all can totally agree with me, right? So let's do well to also drop our question and our questions rather, so that Charles can pick them up and provide detailed answer to most of these questions.
Thank you, Kayode, Rita, JIA, Shegun, Favor. See you guys. Thank you very much.
Okay, is it just me? But I can't see any question currently. So please, guys, let's do well to drop our questions. Okay. So we have a question here already. My question is there a difference between an econometrician and a data analyst? If yes, then what's the difference?
Okay. Difference between an econometrician and a data analyst. I wouldn't say there is significant difference. The difference would just be that an econometrician is somehow siloed to a particular field of economics, right? But take that out, they basically do the same thing, right? They're trying to spot trends, identify trends, and bring out insights basically based on economic data. That's what an econometrician would do. But as a data analyst is more robust to a lot more things. I hope that answers your question.
Bless.
Blessing.
Okay, so the next question from Shalon. For a statistics student looking to get started on data analytics, what would your structured plan to get started be?
Oh, okay. First of all, you're studying statistics, which is very cool. So I'd say please take your statistics course. It's very important. It's not just studying it for the sake of passing your next exam, but try to retain as much as you can. Um, I think you can also start out with YouTube videos to further drive home what you're being taught. Because I don't know how it is right now, but there's usually this disconnect between what we study and the actual career profession that I want to pursue. You would agree with me that being a data analyst, you're applying the statistics that you're learning, right? So take courses on YouTube, Coursera, there are a couple of good courses online that would give you a structure starting from the basics to the end with the capstone project. I think taking these courses would be a good bet for you because very important. They usually have capstone projects that would embody a lot of the concepts and principles that have been taught in the course, and is also something that you can include in your portfolio.
All right. I'm very certain that that already answers your question, Shalon, right? So let's move over to the next question.
Next question. Let's
Okay,
see.
so what's the difference
Difference.
between data science and analytics?
So I would say they're actually very related, right? But the standout difference would be that data science is a step further, right? For data science, you're doing more of predictive modeling using machine learning and AI systems. For a data analyst, right, you've done the exploration, and yes, you built models, you built your linear regression, logistic regression, random forest models, depending on the scope of what it is you're working on. For a data scientist, you're making use of machine learning models, right? Neural networks and AI systems to make your predictions on stuff that you have not seen. So just look at data science as advanced data analytics using advanced concepts.
Okay, thank you so much, Charles.
Mhm. Next
Okay, so for
question.
the next question, thank you so much for this section. I have two questions. How does one build a business acumen? And lastly, I'm curious about what it means to be an analytical engineer.
Okay. All right. For the first question, building a business acumen, like I said, it would mean understanding the industry that you're working in. Um, so I'm in the financial space, right? And there are always not stand metrics. There are always things that make sense to the business. Things like maybe revenue, transaction volume, inflow, outflow. Now, these are things that would speak to how good the business is doing or like the direction that a company wants to take. So it is important that as an analyst, when you're working, the insights you're generating are tied to these things that are important to the business, right? There have been situations where you come up with something and the business cannot relate with it. Like it's cool and all, but it does not drive the things that are important for the business, right? So remember, as a data analyst, you're supposed to help to make impact for data-driven decision making, right? So whatever insights you're coming up with needs to tie with the goals and objectives of the business that you're working in. So whatever industry, health, sports, for instance. So we know that they do data analytics for players, right? If a club wants to sign a player, for instance, they have dedicated analysts that would gather data on how this player has been performing, look at the player's history, is this person injury prone, things like that. So your understanding of that business is with respect to the industry that you're working in. Hope that answers you. Then an analytics engineer is somewhere in the middle. All right. So I'll explain. Is a field that stemmed up with the modern data stack, with the revolution of the modern data stack. Typically, we used to run an ETL process where you extract data from your sources, you transform on the fly, and then you load it into your databases, your different schemas. But with the modern data stack, what you do is ELT, where you extract the data from your sources and you load them just the way they are raw into your databases. Then you now start working on your transformation. So the role of an analytics engineer is very critical in the ELT process because you're now doing the processing that should have been done or that was initially done in the ETL. And this is because initially with the ETL process, you don't really do a lot of they don't do a key transformation. It now makes the data cleaning process a lot stressful. Right. There's a lot more things to take care of, missing values, basically there's a lot of cleanup to do with the ETL. But with the ELT, the analytics engineer is now dedicated to transform everything as it has been loaded raw into your data warehouse. So I hope that answers that question.
All right, Godwin. So just as Charles has mentioned, right, being able to profile recommendation or insights that actually have like an impact on the business is one way to like build accurate business acumen, right? And I mean, it's part from you understanding the business problem, right? And then you can discover what the key metrics are. So I believe that answer is sufficient enough. Can we move ahead to the next question?
Next question here.
Okay, so from Stella, she's asking what advice will you give to someone that transitioned from business analytics?
I would say go for it. I would say go for it straight up. So for you to already be a data analyst, right? You're already on track, if I'm to use that. So go for it. There's something very important for me when I talk about data. It's the passion, it's the zeal, right? You appreciate data science as a field and you want to do there is nothing stopping you. Take your courses, read up, you know, consult people if you need to, right? And go for it. Just so but with data science, I would also want to chip that in that you need to have more understanding of your statistical concepts because trust me, your machine learning models that you're going to apply, your AI models, they are built on statistical concepts, right? Your logistic regression, your random forest, all these things are models that stem from different statistical concepts. So in order to avoid building black boxes, these are models that give you wonderful results that you can't explain, right? There's something called model interpretability, right, in data science and AI. You need to be able to interpret the output of your models in data science and also be able to tweak a couple of features to suit your industry again, right, to make sense. I'll give you an instance. For a loan default model, right, you can build a loan default model and use your typical logistic regression for basis to say this person would default or this person would not default based on the variables provided. When you come up with a model and you say your R2 score is 0.8, very perfect. You know that by default your logistic regression uses a 50% split to determine whether someone will default or not. As a business that does not want to lose money, you do not want to use 50% random split, right? They would want to make your model more stringent. So you might say, okay, you know what, instead of using 60%, let's use 70% or let's use a 60%. If you do not understand how your logistic regression model works very well, you would struggle to do that. So transitioning from data analytics to data science is actually very cool. I'll encourage you, but you need to understand your statistical concepts so that when you're building your models, you have understanding of how these models work and you know how to tweak them for the business use case.
So, in summary, having passion alone does not work, right? You need to like
Yeah,
link
you need
it
to
with
be able to put in work.
jargon,
Mhm.
right? Next question from Rita. I've been having issues with downloading my MSQ workbench after a series of consolation from YouTube and then the video tutorial. What do I do next?
Hmm. Not sure how I can respond to this, Rita, because if it's issue downloading, I'll say it's your network. But if you've been able to download and it's on your PC and you now have issues with the installation, there are actually logs that would point you to, what to do. Maybe there's a file that is missing, or maybe your system does not meet the minimum requirements for MySQL Workbench. It might also depend on the version of the Workbench that you're trying to install. If you're using a Windows PC, are you installing a 32-bit or a 64-bit PC? There are a lot of things that might influence this. So I can't really give you an answer to this question right now, but I'd say look at the error messages that come up and they should give you direction on what to change for your installation. Twitter.
All right. Thank you so much, Charles, and thank you so much for this section. My question for Mariam is where can I get hands-on internship on data analytics?
Where you can get hands-on internship experience in data analytics. There are a lot of
I
different
will take you
companies.
Cowrywise.
Yeah, you can. I mean, if you are not a campus ambassador, please join the campus ambassadors community. Um, yeah, you would have a shot at an internship within the campus ambassadors community. But that is for Cowrywise. There are a lot of also wonderful companies out there. You can shoot your shot. LinkedIn when you see applications come out. Just please, very important. I know there's imposter syndrome, right? But you would only overcome that syndrome by doing. So when you see an application is an internship, it's a job role, shoot your shot. What's the worst that can happen? You say no. If they say no, you keep on working, right? But it doesn't mean that you are not good. Because I know most people watch all the videos and they still feel like, I can't apply for this. Please, guys, just shoot your shot, shoot your shot, shoot your shot, and trust me, it'll work out.
Okay, so I know a lot of us shoot shots to our romantic partners, right? Or people we have a crush on. So please shoot your shot when it has to do with internship, whether you meet requirement or not, but then still do your part, right? Next question would be what certificates can you recommend for data analysts? Are Coursera certification good?
Yes, yes, Coursera certifications are actually good. I think Coursera is one of those places they actually go deep to explain most of the concepts, and like I said, the capstone projects in Coursera are actually very important. So yes, Coursera is good. There are a couple of others, Udemy, Udacity, that would also give you certifications for different programs in becoming a data analyst. But like I would always tell people, certifications can give you access to the door, but they will not make you stay. Because if you say, oh, yes, you have completed a Google Analytics certificate on Coursera, that's nice. It's a nice to have. You would have an interview session. You need to actually understand what you have done or what the certificate you have speaks to. So it's very important that we are not just watching videos for the sake of watching them. We actually understand what we are studying. That for me is very important. But with your certifications, yes, they will give you access to a couple of those where you can shoot your shot.
Okay, so aside getting certification, please get the certification, right? But make sure that at the end you also have and you also understand that particular course you're going through, right? So another question from Jaye Williams. After downloading data set of on Kango, how do you generate an objective like business challenges to direct you on WhatsApp to do with the data set?
So for cargo, I know that there usually is description that comes with all the data sets. So you're not just downloading a CSV to start working on. If it's a logistics data set, if it's a medical data set, there is usually a description to say, oh, data set collected from patients within the ages, blah blah blah, for this, right? Because if you do not understand the data set that you have, you can't even generate the problem. When you have, for instance, a classification problem will be different from a regression problem when we talk about data science, right? So they're usually descriptions. If it's even if it's sales data that you have, you need to understand you are within your data set, there should be something that you're trying to work on. There should be an objective. So there will be a description typically for a data set before you even start working on it, because the description will guide your interpretation of the different columns that you have before you now talk about the target column. So there would typically be objectives, Williams.
That's your question, Jerry Williams. Thank you, Charles. Moving over
Mhm.
to the next question. Okay, from Glory, how is a standard professional portfolio?
Okay. For a data analyst, I would suggest that you can create a GitHub. You can create a GitHub account. There are a couple of nice UIs that you can also use, but I'm not very conversant with that. But I know that basically you can create a GitHub account where you would upload the data set that you worked with. You can upload the reports that you created. If it's a Tableau link, that will take whoever it is that is checking out your profile to the dashboard that you've created on that data. Then you can also include your insights that you generated, your own recommendations and conclusions based on the data. So having a GitHub profile is actually very important. So we can see, oh, you worked on a project for a business, right? You looked at the revenue, you looked at their sales, all these things. You can include them in your GitHub. You can upload different files, put your links, put everything there. Then yeah, maybe I will check and then send something across to Timmy so he get back to you. But I know that there are some other fancy web apps that you can use to help create a store. On the service level, GitHub is actually very good. Or when in your CV, you can just send your GitHub link across. It's personalized for you, and you can always explain the projects that are there. That works.
All right, thank you so much, Charles. Is there a future for me in data annotator without a background in statistics?
A data annotator without a background in statistics. Um, You actually need statistics to be a data analyst. I would not, I'm not sure that sugarcoat that bit. You actually need to understand statistics. Like I said, you don't need to be like a, a statistics expert. You just need to understand the foundations. And as a data annotator, I think you already work with data. It's just that you now need to take the next step. I think this is very similar to the lady that's trying to transition from data analytics to data science, right? You are already in the process. The thing is, does data analytics resonate with you, or are you interested in it because a lot of people are talking about it? It's actually very important for you to ask yourself that question and answer yourself sincerely. If you actually are interested in the analytics field, by all means, please go for it. But you need to understand statistics. You actually do need to understand statistics. Hi, Victoria. Can you hear me? I think your network is lagging again. Okay, I'll take the next question. As a student doing an internship training, is it possible to intern with Cowrywise? Um, I would say you should just shoot your shot. That's what I'll say. Shoot your shot. Originally, I know you need to be a member of the campus ambassadors community for you to have a shot at interning with Cowrywise. So yeah, join the community. Timmy is your guy. Disturb me. See, shooting your shots. Don't
Wait, wait,
don't
wait.
be
Where is it
don't be
disturbing?
timid with shooting your shots, right? So just I mean,
So
Timmy is
I've
your
seen
guy.
quite. Tim is not your guy. You are your guy, right? There's just there's just a process to how it works, right? So I've seen quite a number of questions or quite a number of people ask this same question about internship. I guess it's because Victoria is the one moderating the session, and then we wrote there to say, oh, data analytics intern 2023 or something. Then everybody was what's like, how do I get to intern at Cowrywise or something? So the first thing you need to understand is the only way to intern at Cowrywise is through the Careers Ambassadors community. So the first thing you need to do is to apply to become a Careers Ambassador, right? And that's the link to apply right under the screen here. Cowrywise.com/ambassadors. Every month, we're taking interns at Cowrywise across different teams. You have people in data, people in growth, people in finance, people in any team really, right? Victoria interned with us in 2023. I also know that Rotimi interned as a data analyst in 2023. Um, because we have a software engineering intern currently, two data interns will be resuming next week rather, right? Give me a second. Yeah, two data interns will be resuming next week, right? So again, the first way or the first step to intern is through the careers ambassadors community. Interestingly, if you are currently an ambassador, applications are open. They were supposed to have closed by 2 p.m. today, but graciously, we decided to keep it open up until 11:59 p.m. today, right? Thanks to guys from the graduate ambassadors community that kind of, I mean, spoke or nudged us to wait it. Then we had initially communicated that we're going to close the. Okay, Charles is back. We had initially communicated that we are going to close the what's it called at the application by 2 p.m. today. So if you're an ambassador already, if you're on the WhatsApp channel, head over to the WhatsApp channel and apply and click on the application link so you can get the chance to intern, right? If you're not on the WhatsApp channel, you can check your email. I'm very sure that we have sent it to you quite a number of times. If you're a campus ambassador already, but you're not on the WhatsApp channel, this is your chance to check your email, join the WhatsApp channel, and apply. Again, it's not automatic. The fact that you apply doesn't mean that, oh, I mean, we of course we can't select everybody who applied, right? So when you apply, we review your resumes, your entire application, your cover letter, your essays, and all of those things that have been required of you. And if you qualify to the next stage, you'll be invited into an interview session. Depending on the team you join, for some teams, you will not get to interview stage first. You'll be required to work on an assessment for maybe 5 days or thereabouts. After the assessment, if the assessment is good enough to qualify to the next stage of the application process, you get to the interview stage. After the interview stage, you defend or you speak to what you worked on, right? You speak to the you speak to your submission, right? And then we make decision vis-a-vis the performance of other applicants. Remember that you are not the only one who apply. Um, on some days we get up to 200 people apply. On some days we get up to 600 people. I think for this recent one we've had up to 600 people, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, whether 600 or 300, oh yeah, even almost 700 self. And as a company, we are not even up to 100 in Cowrywise. So it means that we'll probably not be able to take in more than, let's even say we want to do above and beyond, probably not be able to take in more than 15 interns, right? But the good thing about it is that if you don't get in if you don't get in April, you get in May. If you don't get in May, you get in June. So that means that we are able to split or take in a lot more people by having this split. However, just like we would always say, remember to always put your best foot forward. I've just mentioned that we have quite a number of people who have applied, and if you want to be selected, you want to ensure that you submit, you put your best foot forward, right? We've also added a number of you can reach out to your campus leads or the graduate ambassadors lead. If you're a graduate ambassador, I'm sure you don't have any problem. Every day you eat different resources, you eat and drink different resources for job applications, resume building, and whatnot. If you are not a graduate ambassador, but you are a campus ambassador, you can reach out to your campus leads. They have these resources as well. They can share them with you, what your resume should look like, what your cover letter should look like, how to prepare for interviews, and all of those things. So you are your guy. Timmy is not your guy. You are your guy because Timmy would not apply for you. You would apply for yourself. Timmy is only opening and maybe closing the application form or application portal, as the case may be, right? So yeah, that's to answer every question that we've received about internship. Whether you want to do IT, COS, just random internships, summer internships, NYSC, whichever thing you want to do. That form is the only form that is available for application. We don't take in cold messages on, even if you send the cold messages or cold mail, we'll still refer you to these places. We'll still refer you to the ambassadors program, and then from the ambassadors program, we refer you to the form, right? It just helps us stay very, very coordinated. It helps us stay very, very. It helps us maintain a clean process for managing our internship activities, right? So we don't have to run it as Keta to manage these things, right? I want to believe that, and yeah, we're taking it across all teams really. Um, what team would a data analysis student be qualified for? I mean, that's most definitely the data team or something, right? And if you have
Mm-hmm.
some bit of finance skills or finance knowledge, you probably want to do finance, but most definitely the finance team. He said to me, is our guy, you're going nowhere. I'm not going anywhere, right? But you are your guy. You are your guy. Timmy would not apply for you. The best I would do is to provide guidance as much as I possibly can, um, provide resources, which I've always been doing. Many of you can testify. And I guess I did Dotson is a graduate ambassador because that name looks like something familiar in the graduate ambassador. Okay, yes. Funny how I just checked to confirm whether you're a graduate ambassador now. And I checked the WhatsApp group and I saw that you sent this same message that you sent here to the graduate ambassador. Okay, the Lord is your strength, either ways. So yeah, I think that would be all really. Does Charles, do you have any more thing to say?
Well, no, I do not have anything else to say. I just want to add, you only get better by doing. So just keep doing, guys. Don't give up. Just keep doing.
Yeah, you
Cheers.
only get better by doing, quite frankly. For this internship, I like to say that you don't need to get discouraged. Like Victoria applied for the internship 2 times before she got in. So you might not get accepted the first time. Doesn't mean you should get discouraged. She applied, she didn't get accepted until the second or third time. Rotimi also didn't get accepted until the second or third time, right? Some people will be lucky enough to get accepted the first time. No, it's not just for students. The internship is also for recent graduates. So if you are a recent graduate, you graduated last year, you graduated in 2023, and you're looking to intern at Cowrywise, we are open for you. If you want to do NYSC, we are open for you. The only thing is that's the only application form. We don't do emails for application. We don't do LinkedIn or WhatsApp or Twitter or anything. Quite frankly, you most likely will not get a response. Yeah, and if you would get, you most likely have to direct you to the same channel. We have. I mean, well, I am very principled at that, and Carrier is also a very very principled organization. So we don't do all of those things. We like to maintain a system of what's the word right now? Um, um, I can't remember the word right now. But we
Transparency
like
or
to,
something.
yes, transparency, right? We like to maintain that process. So just like I'll just like to end with this word, just like Charles mentioned, you only get better by doing, right? If Victoria applied the first time and she didn't get in, if she did apply the second time, there are chances that she wouldn't have even ever gotten to intern. But she kept on doing it until she eventually got what she wanted. So it's the same thing with your data skill. So if you try to solve a data problem or work on a data project, if you're not getting a hang of it, the only way to get better is to continue to try. Speak with people, reach out to people, ask questions, and you would be very, very impressed or very, very shocked at how people are really, really willing to help. As long as you've done your own assignment, right? You don't ask questions that are very, very obvious, questions that you can get on. We are doing random Google search, right? Yeah, I think that will be all. I don't want to
Sorry,
be
quick one,
another speaker.
Timmy.
Okay.
Sorry, there's someone just dropped something in the comment section. Someone asked the significant difference between data business analyst and data analyst. So this is very similar to the question about an econometrician and a data analyst, right? A data analyst is a broad word. You are an analyst for data in whatever, from data from anywhere. An econometrician is, focused on economic data. The business analyst is focused on business data. You can't see a business analyst working on, say, healthcare related stuff or sports and stuff like that. So these are like subfields. You're basically doing the same analytics work for your industry, right? I hope that plays it up.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Timmy.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. For Shalom, who doesn't have a campus lead yet, we are so sorry about that. It's been some. I mean, it's been a hassle. It's been a not so smooth experience having to pick up the campus leadership thingy for polytechnics and colleges of education, agriculture, health sciences, and technology, and all of those things. But we set up a structure 2 days ago, and before the end of March, we set up a structure 2 days ago so that we can move fast with that. We really apologize. We know that this thing has been here for a while now, and we keep saying we'll fix it. But yeah, we are definitely going to fix it before the end of March. We've set up a structure that will help fix that problem. Um, Thank you to everyone on the call. For those of you in the virtual studio with us, for those of you on YouTube who are joining us live, thank you so much. You can always come back to watch this video. You can always come back to the same link you got via email, via WhatsApp, anywhere you got the link. You can always come back to rewatch the recorded version of this session, right? Um, don't forget to like this video if you really enjoyed this session, and subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get notified whenever we go live for subsequent impactful or impact driven events like this. Thank you so much, Charles. We appreciate you for the last 1 hour, 24 minutes of your time. And I want to believe that you're very happy and glad that you accepted to do this with us.
Actually, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So is that a yes to having you some other time? We are live.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
All
Charles,
right.
and thank you, everyone. Yeah, I want to believe it's fine to reach out to Charles on LinkedIn. You say Mr. Charles.
Yeah.
Yes, you can reach out, you can reach out to Mr.
No
Charles.
problem.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And for those of you who are Muslims, Ramadan Karim or Ramadan Mubarak. I'm not sure what it is right now, but yeah. Cheers and bye, everyone. Bye, Charles.
Just bye.